Hello, English Exegesis students of Revelation. In this video, we're going to talk about some of your optional commentaries. Actually, we're going to talk about all of the optional commentaries in the syllabus. So just a bit of clarification about what I mean by an optional commentary. It is not optional insofar as you can buy or not buy an optional commentary. It is you have the option from the list to buy one or more of the commentaries on that list. So you will expect to have at least one of these commentaries. I encourage you to buy more than one because I think you'll find differing perspectives in commentaries helpful not only for this class, but also for any further work you might be interested in doing in Revelation, whether that be your own sort of personal interests of research or whether that might be preaching or teaching in some capacity in your own ministries. So if you take a look at the list on the syllabus, I haven't put it up here on the screen for you because I'm going to grab my stack of Revelation commentaries and show each book to you. But we're going to go in the order that these books are listed on the syllabus there. So we're starting with Brian K Blount's Revelation commentary. This is, as you can see right up here, in the New Testament Library series. I'm going to give you an idea of the thickness of each commentary as well, because I know based on time and other constraints, the size of a book might make a difference to you. So Brian K Blount's book, Brian K Blount's commentary, I should say, takes we might say a more progressive, and it particularly takes an African American or Black perspective on the book of Revelation. Brian K Blount is, as you may well know, a Black man, and he is very well known for this monograph on Revelation. This is probably one of his more famous books, his more well-known books, Can I Get a Witness? And as you'll see in the subtitle, it's reading Revelation through African American culture. So he's really sort of taking an approach where he is using his own identity as a Black man to approach the text of Revelation, but also, of course, using the critical skills of biblical scholarship. So he's bringing in his own identity as an American Black man in this book, and this also comes out in his commentary as well. So if you want sort of a mix of both critical biblical scholarship paired with his perspective on the text as an American Black man, that's Brian K Blount's commentary. The next one on our list is from Eugene Boring in the Interpretation series. And all of these series are sort of some of the standard go-to series in New Testament commentary. So you'll see there are texts on the other New Testament books in the New Testament Library series. There's texts on other books of the New Testament in the Interpretation series. Eugene Boring is much more of sort of a classical biblical scholarship. It might be referred to more as the old white guy way of doing biblical scholarship, where it's sort of very, very critical, sort of nuanced diving into the text and attempting to be somewhat objective, not bringing his own perspective or his own identity into the commentary as much as someone like Brian K Blount will do. This commentary series is also very theologically oriented, so you'll see a sort of lot of focus on the application of the text and what it means for the church, and that's sort of the main positive of this commentary series, and this commentary in particular, is it's going to be not only textually focused on the text of Revelation, but also application focused as well. It's really a great commentary for preaching, in my opinion. Our next ones I'm going to put together. So you'll see in the syllabus that I ask you, if you choose these ones, I ask that you choose them together because of their thickness. You'll notice that they're not quite as thick. I didn't show you the interpretation commentary's thickness. So this is M. Eugene Boring's. So these two are, one is over here, Elizabeth Schissler Fiorenza. From the Proclamation commentary series. So Proclamation is very intentionally named that way because its emphasis is also on preaching. But Elizabeth Schissler Fiorenza is a feminist New Testament scholar. So that's going to come out in her commentary on Revelation, that's also oriented towards preaching the text of Revelation. And then Adele Yarbrough Collins, she's more sort of a what we again call a classical biblical scholar, more of a focus on the text itself and sort of in its ancient context, what we would call the world behind the text and the world of the text, and not as much sort of an application focus. But Adele Yarbrough Collins is one of the sort of foremost biblical scholars on the Gospel of Mark and on the book of Revelation. So those are sort of her two areas of expertise. Both of these are great commentaries. They're both a little bit shorter, so the sections on any given text is going to be a little bit shorter, which is why I ask you to do both of these together if you choose this as your option. Our next option here is Craig Keener's NIV application commentary. So Craig Keener is a very, very prominent New Testament scholar, particularly on the book of Revelation. You'll see him show up a couple other times in the syllabus. So if you're reading his optional monograph, so you have two options for which book you read, either Craig Keener's or Michael J. Gorman's. If you're reading Craig Keener's book for the optional book, I'd encourage you maybe to do something else so you don't get too much sort of overlap of his thinking, so that he's not inundating you with his own way of thinking about Revelation, but you get a more full spectrum of different perspectives on Revelation. So the NIV application commentary series is characteristically a more evangelically oriented commentary, insofar as the translation board of the NIV translation tends to skew more evangelical. Craig Keener is maybe not quite as evangelical. You don't get that sort of sense from him as much as you do some other scholars that are on the NIV translation, or that you would find in the NIV application commentary series. This commentary series does a pretty good balance of being focused on the text, but also on application, as its name implies. So our thickness here, this one's a little bit thicker. Craig Keener has a tendency to write more fully, to be more verbose in his writing. So that's Craig Keener's NIV application commentary. Our second to last one is from James L. Rusegway, and this is a narrative commentary, as you'll see in the subtitle here. And what that means is that Rusegway takes a very much a text-centered approach, that he's really looking at the literary nature of Revelation and trying to really pull out what's going on literarily in the book of Revelation, and that's really, really his focus. He still is going to comment on things about the history of Revelation, the culture of the first century world, but his focus is really going to be on the literary nature of the text itself. As to thickness, it's not incredibly thick, but also not super small. So that's what we've got going on with the narrative commentary. And the last commentary I do not have to show you, because it doesn't come out until just as our class is starting. So its release date is September 14th. And normally I would not include a book that you cannot get your hands on before the semester starts, but I think this one is important enough, and it's going to be an excellent enough resource that I've included it in the list as an optional text before, even though it doesn't release until as the class is starting. You should be able to do the work of the class in that beginning portion without having the text, but I would encourage you to pre-order it if you go with this one. And that one is by Amos Young. It's in the Belief Commentary series, which is a theological commentary on the different texts of the Bible. So what that series does really well is very application oriented, but is also does a lot with each author's own identity and how a specific biblical text can talk or address certain contemporary issues from perspectives of things like identity politics or, one's race and ethnicity. So Amos Young is an Asian American man, and that's going to come out in his commentary in the Belief Commentary series. So that one's going to, again, do a good mix of being theologically oriented for things like preaching, but also having a heavy sort of emphasis on the author or the commentary's own identity in interpreting the text. So those are your, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm looking over here is where my list is. 7 different options for what you can choose as to your commentary. I guess 6 different options, since 2 of them are rolled together. 6 different options for what you can choose for your commentary. And what we'll be doing with these commentaries is in our classwork is you'll sort of be a representative for your commentary. So in the forums or in class, we will have questions posed about what each commentator or what each commentary indicates about a certain question or a certain interpretive issue in the book of Revelation. And your charge will be to represent that commentator in the forums or in the class. So I hope this is helpful to give you more of a sense of what's going on in each of these commentaries. I encourage you not only just to take my word for what's happening in these commentaries, but do a little bit of your own research on them. Maybe read some reviews or even look up the authors of your commentary. See what you can find out about them, which is an exercise we'll actually be doing in class as well.